Hey, back yet for another video. So we're going to do a recap of Love and Marriage Huntsville, and this is episode 12. The title was We, Scott, and Monster. So let's jump right into the video. So I'm not even going to talk about the stormy situation. I don't even think it's relevant at all. So let's just jump right into Martell. So when the episode starts, we see Martell having therapy with his therapist. But the explanation that he gave for having therapy was that Melody had gotten the kids into therapy, and he thought that it would be great for him. And so the judge suggested it. I don't believe that. I think Martell was ordered to go to therapy. But good that he's in therapy. He mentions some frustrations with his mom. He mentions frustrations with babysitters and not really having people available when he needs them, which is very interesting considering that previous seasons, he's talked about how Melody has had so many babysitters and basically scolded her for even trying to work and be able to provide resources for her and her family. But now he's on TV saying the exact same thing. And he said Melody had these 20-something babysitters, which I think is a lie. But as Nene Leakes said, you don't win when you play dirty. So now Martell is very angry, saying that he does not have support. The interesting part about this, though, he mentioned his mom and, addressed some frustrations with his mom. And I don't know if you guys paid attention. It seems to be some deep-rooted anger between he and his mom. It kind of seemed like a situation where his mother would definitely have her hand out and she would need different things, but then when he would need her, she wasn't available. So that is just what I gathered. The therapist asked about his dad, and basically Martell stated that his dad was in Huntsville. However, he had not heard from his dad and had not had any real relationship with his dad. So we saw that there was a broken relationship with his dad. The therapist recommended that with his relationships that he move more toward a cohesive direction of where his life is going, which made sense. Basically what she's saying, you create the relationships that you want in your life as you move forward. Because Martell was complaining and mentioning, cursing people out when he would get upset. So I definitely agree with Martell going to therapy. Then we see date night with Marcel, Tisha, Kimmy, and Maurice, in which they talk about the situation with Monster, in which Maurice, the dictator, takes absolutely no responsibility, and he basically gives all the responsibility to Kimmy. Maurice, I'm gonna need you to stop. Kimmy is not the parent. She is only the parent because she's married to you. If you and her were not married, she would have no involvement in Monster. So please act like you understand that. So Maurice basically pointed fingers at Kimmy and did not take any responsibility. So they went back and forth talking about Monster, and spoke about how Kimmy mentioned that she didn't feel supported by Maurice when it came to Monster. Of course, Maurice wanted to flip the script and make it about Kimmy and Kiowa, which Kimmy said, no, this has to do with you. Then we saw the scene with Martell and his brother. He does not have a relationship with his brother. He spoke about, rebuilding that relationship, as his therapist stated, in future, when he wanted to create these relationships, he wanted to he should make the relationships more cohesive to where he was going in life. So he's having a good relationship. He's having a good sit down with his brother. But interestingly, his brother stated that Martell and him pretty much raised themselves. And when he said that, my eyebrow raised, because where was Miss Marlene at? That they had to raise themselves. That's very interesting. So for the brother to indicate that they had to raise themselves meant that they had a very difficult life. And it comes into question the relationship Martell has with women. It could be very directly connected to the relationship he does or do not have with his mom. Martell mentioned that, being married, that, when he was married to Mel, that his life was easy, and his marriage helped him to focus. Really? And you ruined it all. Martell speaks of having a good wife is great, but he cheated and ruined his entire relationship, talked about his wife, blamed her for the marriage breakup, and then allegedly got in trouble for doing what to his own child. I don't know, Martell. You can't make this stuff up. So I don't know if you guys noticed, the episode was boring. There was no sign of Melody. I feel like Maurice, do you guys have a storyline? Originally, you guys scolded a cast member for mentioning Monster. And now that we're seeing the back of it, now we can understand that Monster was bad in the beginning. And that's why Maurice was so upset when his name was mentioned before for vaping. Now it is starting to make sense. But my issue is, why are you guys talking about this kid? Do you not have something better to talk about? Then we see Kyle come into town, which Carlos King said on his YouTube channel that they actually paid for Kyle to come because they wanted to see that real interaction between them, and kind of talk about the situation. So my question again is, do you guys have anything going on that you could talk about other than this child? Because what you're doing is you're putting out into the world that he is bad. So everybody is seeing that he probably a troubled child. So if you do not want to give the world the perception that Monster is bad, why exactly are you doing it? Is it really for a storyline? Maurice was given very much dictatorship. Even when Kiowa and Kimmy talked, then he started to blame Kimmy, and then he went from Kimmy to blaming Kiowa. I will give this episode a 2. It was very boring, to say the least. But I believe Carlos said those are filler episodes when he referenced Real Housewives of Atlanta. So I guess this will be a filler episode for him as well. But you guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.